Good morning! Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another stay-at-home edition of the morning show. I am your host, as always, Cornelius Jefferson Jr., and today we have a very, very special episode for you. Last week we just did a fun stay-at-home edition just for the heck of it. Today we're doing it again because first off, why not? But secondly, we're having a music edition of the morning show today. And a whole episode dedicated solely to music, from start to finish, and that starts right now with our opening headlines. So, as I'm sure many of you have already seen, music artist Lil Nas X took the nation and Nike by storm with the release of his Satan shoes with a real drop of blood in every single sole. Talk about creepy. To compete against that and the war against evil, Christian rapper Lecrae decided to release his own pair of shoes called the Baptisms, containing a drop of holy water in every shoe. Right now, it's neck and neck. I believe the Satan shoes have a gross profit of about $666 million, and I believe that the Baptism shoes by Lecrae have somewhere around $670. So it's going to be a tight battle. Pick your side wisely. Moving on, many TikTok users have criticized rapper Eminem for his controversial lyrics, doing everything they can to cancel him. And all I've got to say about that is, really? Controversial lyrics? That's the best you can come up with Eminem? Look, Eminem just loves, absolutely loves the way this generation lies. He lives in your head rent-free. Eminem is a rap god that is not afraid of anything, except for maybe the real Slim Shady and maybe Godzilla. Anybody get that? Any of those references land with anybody? Or am I talking to the generation that thinks the lyrics are too controversial? Maybe so. Regardless, we have a great show for you tonight, guys. We have a great show for you today. The morning show special music edition. We're about to cut over to downtown Sarah Brown, who is going to give you an introduction and brief history of vinyl records. The Last Bandoleros are here with a live musical performance, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm downtown Sarah Brown, the morning show's local music correspondent. Welcome to an introduction to the wild world of vinyl. I'm going to take you on a tour through all things vinyl. We're going to have a really good time, so let's go ahead and jump on in. For our purposes, things start with the vinyl record. The vinyl record was invented in 1930 and has come back into fashion in the past few years. Hipsters. Am I right? Says the girl with the weird hat and the hipster glasses. Many artists will release their records now on digital, CD, and vinyl because it's so hot right now. And vinyl is placed on a turntable. The needle goes into the grooves, which is where the sound is. Vinyl is a very physical listening experience, and in my opinion, it's superior to most other forms of listening. So then you have cassettes, which were invented in 1963. These are played in a cassette deck. They aren't as involved as vinyl. They definitely take up less space, and they too are coming back into the mainstream a bit. Thanks again, hipsters. I've seen plenty of modern artists releasing their singles on cassette, which is hilarious because who has a cassette player anymore? Other than me. And I'm weird, so. Then you have CDs, which were invented in 1979. These are played in, you guessed it, CD players, funnily enough, and they are still produced today, though they do seem to be falling out of fashion. They take up a fair amount of space, and to be honest, they're not really all that vibey, so I don't think the hipsters are really that into them. Plenty of listeners are favoring digital nowadays, and that leads me to, you guessed it, digital. The MP3 was invented in 1991, and digital music has only gotten better and more readily available since then. You can buy songs online, you can stream them, and they sound pretty good as far as I'm concerned. The vinyl aficionados out there are going to be very upset to hear me say that, but It's convenient. It's easy. It's much cheaper than physical copies of music for sure. It's a good way to listen. You can take it anywhere you go. It's great. You shouldn't have to sacrifice listening to music completely just because you can't actually sit down with a record. There's other forms of listening that have come about over the centuries that I don't own. There's wax cylinders, 8 tracks, reel-to-reel. Actually, I do have that, but I can't play it. But these are the basics. So, why vinyl? Like I said, it's a very physical way of listening. You have to be actively engaged with it. You have to pull the record out of its sleeve, put it on the turntable, drop the needle, get back up and flip it when the first side is done, then drop the needle again, and take it off and put it away when the second side is done. You can't just peace out, you know? You're really hearing the music. It forces you to pay attention and be actively engaged with what you're hearing. And if you're a music lover, you're gonna love this. You really will. And it's really cool to have music that's tangible. This is something you can take in your hands and appreciate. You can read the jacket, you can read the insert and learn about the record and the band. Some artists put Easter eggs on the packaging. There's so much that can be done with the physical packaging of a vinyl record. It's awesome. I know, if you're not a huge music lover, I sound like a lunatic. Oh, you can hold music. But if you're into music, like really into music, it's a really cool thing. So I've got a pretty serious collection going on here, and I want to take you through some of my favorite records in my collection. This is the first record I ever got, Hunter Hayes. He's been one of my favorites for a really long time. I got this for my birthday. I want to say when I was 14. I was young, didn't even have a record player, so it made perfect sense for me to get a vinyl record. These are the latest additions to my collection, obviously by Lake Street Dive, Eternal Reach, and Automatic World, both by the Brummies, and Chris Stapleton's latest, Starting Over. These are my coolest records. This first one is from a band called The Idle Race. It's a splatter print, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, look at it. This guy right here on the cover, he went on to be a founding member of Electric Light Orchestra, ELO, you know, the band who brought you Mr. Blue Sky. Fun fact. This one is the Beach Boys, and it looks like a beach ball, so that's really cool. This is my most rare record. It's a still sealed from 1974 Britain import of Dark Horse by George Harrison. That makes me sound like a huge nerd. And that may not mean much to you. I'm a huge George Harrison fan, and I found a used copy of this exact thing on eBay for $35, and mine is still sealed from 1974, so I don't know how much it's worth exactly, but I know the Britain import element of it, and it being sealed makes it more rare than probably anything else I have. Keeping it sealed is killing me, but opening it will do the same thing. So, very fun place to be. This is my most expensive vinyl purchase. This is Tom Petty's Wildflowers, his most critically acclaimed record, originally released in 1994. There weren't many copies released on vinyl, and because of that, prices spiked, and you can't get an original pressing of this record for cheap. Like, no cheaper than $400. This is not an original pressing of that record because I'm not crazy enough to spend $400 on a double LP. This is the repressed Wildflowers and All the Rest box set that came out in late 2020. This version has 9 records in it, and it came with a bunch of extra goodies. You can see it all in this picture right here of mine. This cost $500 because I am crazy enough to spend $500 on 9 LPs and goodies. I didn't buy any records for a good while after that. I didn't buy anything for a good while after that. Priorities. And this is my favorite record at the moment. This is my favorite band, the Last Bandoleros, and this is their debut record, San Antonio. Only released in Germany, so this is a German import that I got at a US indie record store. I got them to sign this record for me when I got to interview them right before the pandemic hit, so that was really cool. And you'll get better introduced to these guys later in the show. So, these are just some of my records. I did not want to count them, but I would say I have at least 100. I'm not sure. But let's say you want to start a collection of your own. What do you need to do? Well, I think the most important thing is having a good setup, and that starts with the record player. If you care about keeping your records in good shape, You're gonna wanna avoid those briefcase record players that you can find all over the place. They're terrible. There's a reason they're like $50. It's 'cause they suck. And they'll destroy your records if you're a frequent listener. I am literally begging you not to buy one and not to torture your poor records by spinning them on it. Spend a little more, even just $100 on a better player. I know not everyone has $100 just lying around, but if you're getting into vinyl, you're gonna spend money. Money spent on records adds up really fast, and it's very painful. And you're gonna want to protect that investment with a quality player. I sound like an insurance agent. So, I have the Ion Max LP conversion turntable with built-in stereo speakers. It's quality. It is cheap. I paid $100 for it, and I know the vinyl aficionados out there are going to have some attitude about it because it's cheap and the speakers are built in. But not everyone can afford the $3,000 turntable with the $1,000 speakers, man. I'm in college. I'm poor. This is what I got. At least it's not a briefcase. I think this turntable is great. It's easy to use, it sounds pretty good, it's held up well, looks cool, and it's really cool because you can convert your vinyl to digital with it, which is great when you buy one of those records that has special tracks on it that you can't find anywhere else. It's not perfect, but it's so much better than the briefcase players, I promise. So the next thing you're going to want to think about is storage for your records and a place to keep your record player. I love this shelf I have because the shelves are vinyl sized and the turntable fits perfectly on top of it with my little crates of 45s. If you're not looking to buy a bunch of records, you may not need this. You could get by with a milk crate or a wooden vinyl crate for storage. But if you're looking to curate a big collection, get a shelf of some kind. Don't just stack your stuff in the floor. This one was pretty cheap from Walmart, one of those do-it-yourself shelves, and I built it myself. I think it did pretty good. But you can buy more highbrow ones online too, if you're not broke. Number one thing about storage that everyone from any financial background needs to know. Do not store them flat. If you store them like this, they will warp and sound horrible when you try to play them, and you can't really undo that damage easily. Keep them upright, or else you can consider that a threat. Okay, when you're buying records, don't get ripped off. The best way to do that is to know these 3 things. 1. Brand new records and releases can cost typically between $15 and $40, depending on the nature of the record. For example, this record here, Self-Made Man by Larkin Poe, $20. It's a single record in a simple jacket. This one, From Out of Nowhere by Jeff Lindsay Yellow, was $40. It's a colored double record, so you get 2 records in this ugly color, which means you have a more intricate jacket. Sorry, it was supposed to be gold, but what you're seeing is what it actually looks like in real life. It's colored vinyl, and it's expensive, but oh my god. Expect similar pricing when you go hunting. 2. Used records are a crapshoot, but you can avoid being ripped off if you're willing to pass things up. This record is from 1981. It's Rick Springfield's Working Class Dog, and I got it for $8. It's in incredible condition. In my opinion, the seller underpriced it. I think it could have sold for $15 to $20. Just my opinion. I'm no expert. Other stores might have priced it much higher. It's a quality used record, but it's not rare. There's nothing special about it, really. Sorry, Rick. Rare records will sell for more, and reasonably so do your research before you buy a record. If you're interested in a record that you know isn't rare, and a store is selling a used copy for like $40, but you can find it on eBay for $10, don't buy it unless you just have to have it immediately. That doesn't mean you should buy it on eBay. I'm all about supporting indie record stores. So if you're willing to wait and shop around, sometimes you can find things cheaper at other stores. Do your research, save money, and be willing to wait. And keep searching. 3. With used records, make sure they're clean before you buy, at least somewhat. They can have some dust, a little dirt, you can clean that off. But if they're like coated in dirt and grime, or they're crazy scratched or damaged, I saw one once with a whole chunk missing out of the middle of the record. Don't buy gross or damaged records. Pull them out of the sleeves in the store and check. You can do that. And at home, get some record cleaner and clean them. Clean your new ones too after you've played them a few times. Keep your records clean of dirt and dust and get protector sleeves. I have these paper ones that I use for the record itself, and then I use plastic ones to protect the jacket. So keep these things in mind, and you'll get the most bang for your buck. Records you need to have in your collection. People will tell you need to have Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, Thriller by Michael Jackson, Hotel California by the Eagles, Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, Led Zeppelin 4 by Led Zeppelin. This list really is endless. The truth is, you don't actually have to own any of these. You can see that I don't own most of those. People will tell you that there's records you absolutely have to have, and as much as I love convincing people to buy records from my favorite bands, you just need to get what you like and what you'll listen to. Vinyl costs money. I've spent a small fortune on my record collection. So, you only really want to buy what you think you'll listen to. If that's just a few brand new records here and there from your favorite artist, that's fine. If you're super into lots of genres and lots of artists, and you buy old and new records from old and new artists, you have to buy a big old shelf like I've got, that's fine too. We really don't need to be gatekeeping having a vinyl collection. So, records you need to have in your collection? Whichever ones you want. Buy and spin what makes you happy, not what makes others happy. Just make sure you're supporting indie record stores. What does that mean? Because if you're watching here in Northeast Arkansas, you might not know, because we don't have any. Indie record stores are just stores that specialize in selling music, mostly vinyl. A lot of them sell new records from modern artists and used records from older artists. They sell CDs and cassettes. Sometimes other fun stuff like t-shirts and toys and incense. You'll know an indie record store when you see it. Now, if we don't have one in this area, how can you support them? Buy online. That brand new record you want that just came out yesterday, you can order it from an indie record store. Yeah, I know, you can go to Walmart and get it right now, but supporting indie record stores helps keep music alive, and if you're a music lover, that should be important to you. Indie record stores also know a lot more about music than Walmart does, and the prices are comparable. If you find a new record at Walmart for $25, it'll more than likely be the same price at an indie store. So you've kind of really got no reason not to shop indie. Here's a list of some of the indie stores I buy from, and some of the records I bought from them. The Groove in Nashville, Tennessee. Grimey's, also in Nashville, Tennessee. Electric Fetus in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Euclid Records in St. Louis, Missouri. And Lunchbox Records in Charlotte, North Carolina. Go online, search for stores, find one that speaks to you, and if you ever find yourself in that city, go visit. Curating your own collection is exactly that, your own collection. Put in as much or as little into it as you want, and make it your own. Store your stuff well, be a smart shopper, keep it clean, take care when putting them on, and your collection will thank you. Happy listening. Oh, and a little friendly reminder for you. There you go. Now you know all about vinyl. I guess that probably brings us to the end of the morning show for this week. Oh wait, what's that? Our musical guest is ready. Okay, great. I will let them know. When you know it, morning show ain't over yet. We've got a very special treat for you this morning. We've got a band lined up to do a little performance for you. But before we get started with that, how about a little background on the band? The Last Bandoleros are a rock, country, Tejano group from San Antonio, Texas, and one guy from New York. They've got a fun, unique, incredible sound. These guys are awesome. You're gonna love it. They've toured with Sting. They've done stuff with Shaggy. If you happened to be at the Foreigner concert last year at First National Bank Arena right before the pandemic hit, you saw these guys as the opening act. They were amazing. They have this weekly web series on Facebook Live called Around a Neon Cactus that's currently on hiatus, but it's coming back real soon. These guys are awesome. They're one of my favorites of all time. Hopefully, after you see this performance, they're going to be some of your favorites too. If you like what you're about to hear, you can find these guys on all these fancy little websites right next to me. And without further ado, let's get to it. Here are the Last Bandoleros with their take on a Tom Petty classic. Take it away, boys.
sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away, somewhere all bright and new. I've seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your own. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of covers. You belong in their home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me. Far away from your trouble and worry. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Wow, what a show! I want to thank you all for joining us here for the morning show stay-at-home edition / music edition. We couldn't have asked for anything better. Special thanks to our very own downtown Sarah Brown for bringing us a fantastic segment over vinyl records, an introduction to vinyl records. They're making a comeback, guys. Once thought to be a dying breed, they are the hot ticket now, so go get yours. A special thanks also to the Last Bandoleros as well for their fantastic performance today. Again, one of the better shows that we've had, a very special show. Stick around for next week's show, the final morning show of the year. I promise you do not want to miss it. But for today, I have been Cornelius Jefferson Jr. You have been watching The Morning Show. Take care. We'll see you next week.